guys, so this is just a light workout. I like to start with some rolling ups and rolling downs from the top of your head all the way down your spine, just to kind of stretch out the weight on your feet. And this is in real time, but of course you can take a little longer, a little shorter with any of these things. Kind of do that a couple times, again, whatever feels good to you. I like to start putting some weight on the hands. Make sure you bend your knees when you go in between positions. It's a lot safer for your back. Going into just a little down dog here. Trying to keep a nice form. My glasses fell off. Stretching out that releve. Really trying to have a nice straight line from your hips to your toes. Stretching in like a second, just to kind of get the hamstrings going. Stretching over to your right leg.
This is usually just what I do in my classes.
And then walking over to your left. Trying not to move your hips with your body, trying to leave your legs exactly where they were and just move your torso. Walk your feet back into parallel under your hips and roll up, rolling down, out to a light plank. Lowering down, elbows to ribs, and a little up dog.
What if I just crawled out the doorway and that was the end of the video?
And child's pose. You can open your knees up a couple inches so it's nice and comfy on your hips. I like to stretch out my neck and my back a little bit here. My neck always gets super, super tight, so this is a good time to really stretch out the sides of your neck into your shoulders and down into the trapezoids. Stretching over, using that hand on the floor to really support your weight. Nice and easy. Make sure that you keep breathing through all of this. Rolling up. Nice little stretch. And back to child's pose. Really relax here. This one's really comfy. Super good for your back, especially if you've been sitting all day like I have. And tucking the toes, go to a downward dog. And bending the knees to walk back in. I just felt like doing this to stretch out my hips a little bit. This one feels good on my hips and my lower hamstring flexibility, but it's kind of a strange one. Coming back, weight even on both feet, rolling up. And rolling down one more time. And we're going to a stretch series. Please forgive me, I was filming my guest room, so the table is a little in the way. We're just in a runner's lunge. You want to keep your hips even and not let your right hip slide back. Very gently put your knee down. I like to stretch up. Try and keep your hips square, really pushing that right hip forward. My weight is pretty even on the tripod of the ball of my foot and the heel. I'm trying to push my energy through my heart up and forward. I like to stretch back a little bit, almost like a split preparation, but just gets the hamstring a little nice. And I like to go back to this nice iliopsoas hip stretch and turn out my foot so that I can get a deeper stretch. And then a little bit of a jazz split, so your front leg is straight and your back leg is bent. And you can point or flex your toe. I like to kind of half point it at my ankle, just so I can really focus on stretching the rest of my leg. Then we're going to pigeon here and move forward a little bit. Again, you want to keep your hips nice and square and then let your legs kind of stretch outside and away from your hips. Really stretching into that right hip. Now you will get a different stretch if you're sitting up in it versus forward, so I would give it about 30 seconds of sitting up and using your hands to help you, and then you can lay down forward over that leg, and that'll give you two different stretches.
I tried to stretch the other day at Luke's, and I was like half of this flexibility. But we had just gone for a run, so maybe it was the trauma.
You can stay in this as long as you want, and then whenever you're ready, go ahead and come on back up. Between my sides, I just like to go into a little butterfly, stretch out the hips a little bit. I like to reach forward with a flat back and then allow myself to round over. Allowing that hand on the floor to help plant yourself and really stretching over. Try and keep your opposite hip on the ground. Don't let it come up with you. Just a little stretch. And then find a way to transition to the other side. So we're just in a runner's lunge and my left leg is back right now. My hips are parallel, so my feet are facing exactly forward. And trying to let your left hip really dip down, and keeping your hips nice and square. Gently place your knee onto the ground. Now I like to use my hands on my knee to support myself a little bit, but on this you should really be working on keeping your shoulders open, which is something that I struggle with, and really pushing your heart forward as you push your hip down. Now when I say push, I really mean like extend. I don't mean use your muscles to grip. You don't have to hold this too long. This should still be a stretch and not necessarily like a workout. Like if your muscles are fatiguing, try and relax into it a little bit more. Only use as much force as is necessary while you're stretching. And then I like to sink back a little bit. Stretch out the top of my foot, stretch out my hamstring a little bit, get that leg used to being straight again. I like to keep a flat back as well. You'll get a little bit of a glute stretch. In this video I haven't stretched in about a week, so a little out of shape, but that's the exact perfect reason to be doing this. So now I'm in a bit of a jazz split, so you keep your back leg bent and you keep your front leg straight. Again, you can point or flex that foot. It's really up to you. If I were warmer and I was stretching for flexibility, I would try and stretch this with a flat back, but since I was doing this mostly just to stretch out and feel a little better, and mostly just for like a feel-good stretch, I decided to use a round back. Now we're going back into pigeon, so again, trying to keep your hips square, which I'm doing now. I'm trying to square off. Letting your left hip push down to the floor and open up, letting it really lengthen and extend. You want to feel the length from your back toe all the way up through the top of your head. And then from here you can lay out. Now this stretch is going to be very intense, so if you need to hold yourself up on your elbows, that's fine. Just try and relax your right glute, because it's going to get really, really deep into the rotators and all the muscles you use to sit on. So this is a really, really great stretch for the lower back and for your hip flexors if you're sitting all day. Really just allowing your body to melt into the ground. Let gravity help you. Don't try and fight it. I hope you guys are enjoying the view of the guest room in my house. It's also our library/craft room. So I have those lovely IKEA shelves. Alright, so I'm just sitting up in like a pike position, trying to flat back over and then allowing myself to round over, because again, feel good stretching. Massaging out the tops of my feet a little bit because they're super tight, because I haven't really been pointing my feet every day like I should be. And then one more time. I like to kind of flat back and extend to reach out to my legs and then allow myself to round over. And then we're going into middle splits here. And you can think of this more as like a straddle, like your legs don't have to be specifically like far back or anything. Your legs can kind of just be comfy. This part is more about stretching your side. Just getting that really nice lengthening through the core, and then I like to walk forward because it can be a little taxing to try and pull yourself back up from that side stretch. You can get a little lightheaded. Just relaxing, allowing my elbows to prop myself up because I'm not trying to go too far for flexibility right now. And then other side as well, trying to keep my legs, my toes pointed, at least partially. And then walking forward. Sometimes I need to rock a little bit to get my inner thighs nice and stretched out. So I'm just hanging out here, tucking my mom a little bit.
No, that's my tendons on my feet. I don't know why they're that loud. It doesn't hurt.
Try and stay down your stretch. I don't even know what I'm talking about.
Go up and over for clout.
And then if you want, you can roll over. I like to a little bit just to remind myself I still can. I like to keep my feet flexed during this because I think it's easier on the joints. It's a little kinder to your ankles and to your hips and your knees, and it prevents like joint movement that you don't want. So if you are going to roll over, flex your feet actively. And I like to just shake out my legs a little bit and then get to go. Okay, workout time. We're just going to start with 8 sit-ups. Well, crunches. And then 8 with the legs up. Try and keep this basically like a flat tabletop. Try not to just bring your knees to your elbows. Try and leave that space there. We're going to extend the legs for 8. You can definitely do this with some super fun music on. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And with those, the super advanced version would be to have your legs out almost straight. I'm just doing some roll-ups for back health. This was taken from Pilates. You can skip this. But also if you do this a little faster, you want to hold your core in so your back isn't arched. You want to keep your back nice and flat. But if you do these faster, you get a really, really good glute burn. I was just trying to go for more of an alignment. And then one more set. And I always try and get my shoulders off the ground a little bit.
Sorry in advance for the heavy breathing.
Eight, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. And then I decided to take my legs to a little bit of an angle because it's much harder. Again, the advanced version would be at about a 45-degree angle. Try not to let your back arch at all. And then I'm just going to go into a little bit of stretching here because I just wanted to kind of wake up my core. I didn't want to go for like a full workout. But you can definitely I like to do that set with 4 8 counts and basically just repeat it till the end of a song. That's a really easy way. So again, I'm leaving my back flat on the floor and just kind of pulling my leg towards me to stretch out the back of my leg. And then carrying side, leaving the opposite hip on the floor. And then trying to hold and rotate without kicking anything in the room. This one is super good for opening up the hips. Again, trying to keep them square, not letting your left leg pull up, and really stretching the other leg on the floor. It's super good for your hip flexibility. And then pulling towards you. And you can bend and straighten here if that feels comfortable. Point or flex, whichever feels better on your foot and your ankle. And then carrying to the side without hitting any objects. And then I brought into passe so that I don't kick the door. But even just doing some développés on the floor is really good for strength and to find where your alignment is. It's a super easy like ballet type workout you can do if you're not necessarily even a dancer. Still super good for you. And then I'm just laying here for a little bit to kind of get into touch with everything and let my back kind of relax. And then we're gonna go into a little bit more of a workout, sitting up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Up, 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 up. Just slowing down a bit. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and up, 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 up. 5, 6, 7, 8. This is called teaser from Pilates. And you can do as much or as little of those as you like. That's another good one to mix with your abs. Maybe another song for that one. It kind of stresses out my hip flexors a little bit, so I don't like to do that one in the V position too much, but it's really good for like a really quick kind of core burn. And then I'm just laying again to relax. And then I'm gonna pull my knees up and go into a twist. So you wanna try and keep your shoulders mostly flat on the ground, good alignment in your back. Take your knees over to one side and look to the other. Try and just let your breath melt you into the floor. So on an inhale, you're breathing in clean, positive energy, or just think of expanding your lungs. And then on the exhale, just let your body melt and kind of slump into the ground. Again, using this idea of letting gravity help you. And you can stay here kind of as long or as little as you like, but 30 seconds is a good start. Sometimes I like to straighten out my legs and put my hand down just to give a little bit of weight. I find it easier to get a really, really deep twist if I'm not worried about my legs coming back up. And if you're trying this along with me, you'll see what I mean. And then carefully pull back to the middle, find center, and then over. And try and let your head just rest, not stressing out your neck, just letting gravity relax you. Really focus on nice, deep breathing here. And then when you're ready, you're going to bring your knees back to the center using your outside arm and your core. And then find your way to seated, whichever way is comfortable for you. You can also turn onto your side and kind of get up that way. And then I'm just going to go into just going into a nice child's pose. Trying to let your hips kind of reach down to your heels and trying to let your shoulders lengthen out. This is definitely a resting type of position. I'm just walking up, tucking the toes. Just going to a plank position. Not for too long. You could add in some planks here if you're going for more of a workout, but just find it nice to hold it. Walking your feet back in. The bend in the knees is really important for safety. And then bend the knees again when you're ready to roll up. And then you're all done. Thanks so much, guys.